particular studio. And I would suggest to see the progress Ms. Roxon Universal has been making over the years. I would just suggest that you look back to the other bills and then look at some of the old content on the YouTube channel, and then you can see that progression and to what extent the progression has been. Um, as this being in beta stage, this has been very rewarding for the people who build, because it gave you the opportunity to come in and learn how to use a tool that didn't cost you an arm and a leg, and just work on these tools until you could take these simple or primitive shapes and be able to take these shapes and actually build and end up with what you would call digital assets. So now we have digital properties, and these properties gives us a property interest. And for those who don't understand how that works, you got people who don't know that it doesn't have to be physical. When you create something, you have a property interest, and once the things that you have a property interest in, once there's a bona fide market, once a platform is established in an economy, that's how you can make yourself into a millionaire. Because when you talk about digital images, you're just dealing with you're just focusing on volume from this point on, volume. So like I was telling people before, I always give this same example. Let's say you make an asset, you put your brand on it. Your brand is your brand. You've been using it for a while, so it automatically become a common law trademark. And then if you decide you want to register it, you can register it, but not necessary. But it becomes a trademark. And then once you can take these particular objects in here, which are digital assets, once you can take them and reproduce them over and over, because it's a digital asset, you now can sell as many as you want over time. So I tell people all the time, if you spend 3 years here and you sold one asset for $1 over the years, and you had 3 million people buy it, you have generated $1 million in 3 years. So those are the basic examples I give sometimes to just get people to see the extent, and to see the possibility, the options. Now, anything that we do, remember, anything that you do will be something that you push forward. It's not going to happen because other people are doing it. You're not gonna progress unless you really put your time into something, solidify it, and then once you solidify it, it will indeed gain traction, especially if you're here first. So we're here first. Some people are getting in this year. Some people have been here for 6 months, and they are very enthusiastic. And when I take people to different worlds and different bills and show them these things, um, let them feel the way I felt. Like, how in the world can I build like this? Because these people are good at it. And over time, once they keep working with it and working with different people, it becomes clockwork, and then it becomes easy to do. And then once you've mastered something, then you start throwing up buildings like this. You'll be able to do buildings like this in a matter of a week or 2 weeks or whatever, or less. It just depends on, what route you take. So the route I took is not to be a builder, but to use my background in business, my background in consultations, my background in running a club, entertainment, promotions, and marketing. And so I say, okay, I have natural talent that I will be able to come in here and find a niche. And that means if you're an excellent builder, guess what I can do? In the future, I can get contracts for that builder, and I can make a percentage just by the contract. Not saying take an interest in their business or take an interest in their projects, but I can actually use my skill sets in many different ways to make sure that now I can be a part of this ecosystem when it blows up. So um, my main thing is I've been following Bitcoin and the blockchain ever since they announced the Satoshi. When we started learning about Bitcoin and the Satoshi back in 2008, and because during those times, um, I was able to identify what was going on in society as far as the economic changes that we're in now, and we're moving in a direction to where this whole monetary system is about to be into a digital monetary system. And for me to come onto a digital platform and see that the majority of people that are coming onto these platforms are coming in for the gaming perspective, for the social perspective, and that means they're not really paying attention to what they stumbled upon. So I'm always trying to interject these concepts and ideas, no matter what podcast I'm on, no matter what circle of I'm around when I'm talking. I'm always trying to get them to do this, because what's going to happen is this: those people who form teams and organizations, who form some kind of organization, whether it's a business, even if it's a nonprofit, those people who form good alliances and set their minds toward getting themselves in a position to do business in a platform that's going to blow up when it does open up, you will have a great future. And I, for one, love being in here. I love that I can have a social life any night, any time of day, no matter if it's here, VR chat, wherever. I enjoy this. Um, but in real life, right, we have real, you have real obligations, real things you have to be accountable for. And so you have to split that time. So I want to get to the point to one day where this thing is generating the income that it needs to generate so that I can give full focus in here. And once I apply full focus to anything, it's gonna turn out to be something lucrative. So I want you guys to typically, try to make sure that people um, are aware of what's really coming. What's coming pretty soon is the blockchain. The government, as well as all the major governments dealing with the World Banks, International Monetary Fund, all of that, they're already printed and published their intent to turn real world assets, not to turn them into anything, but to tokenize them. So in the past, if you bought a house, you got to sign all these 80 pages during the closing. You got to have attorneys. You got to have so much stuff that makes just to do a deal. It's going to take 20% of what the value of the house is, which is why they typically want you to save up 20% for a down payment, because the bank is really just going to finance 80% of it so that you can have 20% equity in it in case you default. And that's all that's about. The way they do the real estate is to make sure that they can hold someone liable and use the house as a collateral asset. What we're facing right now, though, is what's going on in the commercial real estate, where those are called no recourse loans. Investors who have the ability to buy a Trump Towers and things like that, or buy whole shopping centers, all these major buildings, they're not liable for those things because they're called no recourse. And since they're not liable, they're not performing, they're all shutting down. And what's how it's affecting everybody else is the fact that when they walk away from these deals, the banks are left holding these deals. And the majority of the banks are not able to off ramp them or sell them for some kind of profit, or to even to stay afloat. A lot of these banks are currently going out of business, and they're being bought up and absorbed by other companies who's going to take that whole portfolio and then put those portfolios on the market as non-performing, right? Called bad debt, non-performing debt. But it's going to cause the banks that we use, the banks that we go to get business loans, to get student loans, and all these other things. A lot of these banks will be no more. And only the member banks are like banks that are tied directly to the Federal Reserve Bank here in the United States, just like in all these other nations that have central banks. Those banks are doing the same. So if that's happening, it's going to stop a lot of trade between us and other countries. A lot of things won't be coming in so easily through the ports. We won't be getting a lot of products and services, or or products from other countries as well, and that's going to cause everything here to go up in value. Now, here's the scary part. That's just normal business, what I just said, right? But the scary part is this: the way the politics is going, because the main people who are in Washington, D.C., that are making the rules and allowing so many things to happen that we can't understand. why they're happening. They're doing that because they're serving the interests of people who are lobbyists, and those lobbyists are put there by all the top richest corporations and richest people because they need to make this country um, default on so many things so they can buy everything at the lowest price. Everything at the lowest price. And they hold all this stuff, then we'll be at their mercy because they'll be controlling what the new laws will be and how things will go. And they're trying to get into a position to where we as individual people, as the population who are trying to be free of taxation on the level that it is and all the other things that keeps us from competing on such levels, right? So that means we remain in the rat race when we can't compete on those levels. They're trying to corner everything and monopolize everything. So what they won't be able to control and monopolize is things like digital assets. Because when you create something, it's called creators' rights, and those creative rights belong to the creator. Whenever you create something, you have creators' rights. And then what you're able to do with those creators' rights is you can always negotiate with them. If someone decides like they want to take it, they have to compensate you for it. You just got to be proactive enough to know what gives you the right to make a claim on something someone's trying to take away from you. So I'm the type of person, is if I had a ton of properties in here and this whole platform was to shut down, I'm not going to be like the average individual thinker who's not aware of what property rights are. I'm going to say, hey, okay, you separate me from my property. And this place has a value, it has shareholders and stockholders. In some kind of way, you're going to do something with these assets. So I'm going to give you my bill. I'm going to charge you for what my property interest is. And it's going to be so extravagant of an amount that they will have no choice but to negotiate. And if you give me enough money, even if you gave me $1 million, even though I wouldn't settle for 1 million, but if you gave me at least $5 million, you can literally take a $5 million payout settlement, and you can literally put that in just an annuity fund until that trader or who's managing your annuity fund um, take take half of what it's earning each year, compile it to the principal amount, and I want to live off the other 50% profit that's made each year. So you can have an annuity fund that's paying you about $2-3 million a year. You know what I'm saying? And just go live your life. So people who win the lottery, people who get lawsuits, they don't know these things. They get money in their hand that they never had before. They're gonna start getting a bunch of credit lines because people saying we're gonna give you credit, don't worry about it, we're gonna give you credit and all this, whatever. You don't have to pay nothing but this amount, whatever. That's how they get the money back out of your hands. They get it out of your hands through charging you certain amounts of interest while you have a debt out, and then at the same time you're taxed everywhere, whether it's capital gains tax from winning something, or whether it's an excise tax at the store, excise tax at the gas station, excise tax everywhere. So when we having these kind of conversations, people learn a little bit more about the things that they may not be totally aware of, and it gives you the ability now to have conversations when you run across a professional, or if you run into a situation. Well, I heard something that Blanco say about that, and you realize that, oh, this is possible because it was brought to your attention. But if you was to share this information as time go along, and most people don't like to share information they're not fully understanding, but you can always get greater understanding just by taking a keyword I said or a topic I said, and you can now utilize this AI in so many ways to get your understanding and start developing your own business plan right now, developing your own feasibility plan. And these are the things I talked here in Horizon World. I was telling people, okay, I'm gonna do a whole 13 weeks presentation. Every week I'm gonna do a section of a business plan. And when I was doing that, people were not responding because the very terminology I was using was so foreign. They just, they didn't want to reveal that they didn't understand this word or didn't know that, because sometimes it's almost embarrassing sometimes to find out that you thought you knew how to do business, all because someone said you go down there, you fill this out, you call the IRS and you get that in tax ID number, and you go over here. They just follow instructions. Well, the majority of all the instructions that you get that is public on how to do is really steering you to be a taxpayer. And when I started coming in and going to like Meta, I was going to um, Meta Talks Live, where Meta Clean Rupert was actually bringing in professionals. He was bringing in professionals and having real good shows. Professionals come in to tell you exactly what it is to have a company, what it is about accounting. So you do have people like Jen Smash in here teaching that. You do have all about money and as teaching those things. And but at the same time, it's still the basic public stuff. So what I started doing to get people's attention, even though I know the public, I know the private side as well. And so the majority of things that I do from a private capacity, which means that instead of setting up a LLC, I may set up a business trust. The difference between an LLC and a business trust is a trust has certain powers and immunities. And once a trust hold property, the trust holds title, the legal title, and the equitable title to it. An LLC, that still is under the control of the jurisdiction that you registered it in. That means you're under state regulations and guidelines and the IRS and all that. And we all know if you ever do something they don't like, especially take a political position or things like that, they have ways to try to get you back in. Well, you had an error on your taxes, and that's even if that person had a certified public accountant do their taxes, they'll still hold you liable for it. You know, so the things that I'm saying, I speak from the public side and the private side because only thing different in the private than in the public is the knowledge that they withhold, that they don't tell you, because you can move a whole different way if you had the knowledge to. So now in here, we're on a platform. They're consistently in Congress making more and more laws to deal with this particular type of jurisdiction because the internet, right, is international. The internet falls more under international trade um, than it does commerce. Congress regulates commerce, and the Uniform Commercial Code and things like international trade laws, they regulate that. So the difference in the two is I can jump between one and the other. So if one of them isn't beneficial, then I jump over here. And the only reason I can do that because I took the time to learn this stuff. Because being who I am, and I've done all the things that most people that are in here now at the age that they're doing things, yeah, it's fun. But I done crossed those bridges already to know that at this time I'm gonna be alive, and I am alive in the 21st century. I've been studying all this stuff, knowing that all of these things was going to happen, just not knowing how it was going to happen. But now that it's unfolding, I know what entities to look at. I know what podcast to source. I know what periodicals that's talking about real time, what's really happening, what's going on. So in prior shows, I've told people about the Brookings Institute. You know what I'm saying? The McKinsey reports. I've talked about all these things. These are the real core things that the professionals use. I've told people that anytime you have people like Warren Buffett is getting interviewed, go listen to him. Anytime you hear people like Elon Musk, you know, yeah, Elon Musk speak, listen to him because they are the nucleus of what's taking place for the 21st century. So everything that I talk about and everything that they're doing is considered the word quote unquote emerging markets. Emerging. They're happening now. These markets are getting ready to be built. When the emerging markets are established, the old markets are gone. So here's the scary part. When you have political interest that's bringing in tons and tons and tons of people, foreigners in here, to give them the position to take benefit and utilize the benefits, only a limited amount of benefits, right, per capita, per person. When they're doing that, the moment people start losing their jobs because everybody hasn't lost their job yet, and a lot of people aren't even feeling that they're gonna have to worry about that, but they will. Once that happens, and then you go to get the resources are gonna be either exhausted. um, you have a lot of people that's gonna retire without even getting retirement benefits. You have a whole lot of things that's gonna hit people at one time. They're not gonna understand it, and then it's going to be almost chaos in a sense for a lot of people, while the other people who are preparing and making a transition, it's just a transition. But for the people who are not, they won't be able to handle it, because when somebody says, hey, got your digital wallet, what's that? Do you have a ledger? What's that? Do you have a MetaMask? You know, what's that? And it's gonna be like behind the eight ball when it's actually going down. So you're gonna have a lot of people who are gonna get taken advantage of. Oh, I can get that set up for you. Just give me your information, I set it up. And they're gonna be people who are gonna be like getting their whole wallet stolen, you know what I'm saying? Because they don't understand that this is not something that you let people do. This is something that you have to do for yourself and understand, because this is what they call the difference between centralization and decentralization. Centralization comes from the top. The government dictates whatever, and you're under their monetary system, even if it's going to be the digital currency now, because right now you're under their regular money that's called fiat money, using the Federal Reserve notes and things like that. And then you're going to have the decentralized, which is a whole lot of creators that's already got decentralized platforms. They have their own cryptocurrency accounts and trading. So while we're sitting here, there are people right now making up to $10,000 on trades, trading cryptocurrencies that is not even, not even major yet, because people are buying them, which creates a monetary base for buying and selling. And they're buying and selling these cryptos based on the fact that um, this particular cryptocurrency is working on this project and this one's working on this project. So they've met all the different criterias to get put on an exchange to be bought and sold and traded. Right. So people are making that kind of money on just meme coins. People like myself who are not trading daily. I have coins that I bought. I bought tokens and coins that I think my account has exceeded 13 grand, even though it fell when the pandemic hit. My account literally fell down to 2,000 some dollars. Now that the government has, stop forcing people to be on this so-called pandemic thing, and now all the 5 the 5G has been set up, because y'all know we can use 5G all over the place now, right? It was behind the scenes set up 5G, really. Now that all that's happening, the technology, like nanotechnology, the internet of things, the internet of the body, all these different technologies that's going to build the emerging markets now can be implemented. So that's what they're doing. They're implementing. And in the meantime, while they're implementing these new emerging markets, the political side is making sure that you don't really hear about it in major news, in the news media, because the majority of the people watch the news. They listen to the radio driving to work. They listen to radio coming home. They're not getting this information. But we're here in it, right? So we're around the people who are in it, doing it, and you got some experts in here, but they're not going to waste their time trying to talk to people who's brushing them off. They're just brushing them off. Whatever. So, like I said, the scary part will come when people realize that it's their turn now. When that company will by somebody major, and then start implementing AI to replace people. And everybody won't be replaced. And so you don't have to worry about that. But everybody has the opportunity, because all of these digital tools now give you the same power and the same ability to compete with these major companies that has all this major money. And the only difference I can tell you is this, to make it make sense. You can go as an artist and try to get signed by a major record label, and they can drop $5 million on you. They can give you a bonus, sign for $5 million. But that's recoupable. And the kind of things that they're gonna do is they're gonna make all this money off your art, your talent, by you not having the rights to it all. You're gonna be getting pennies on every dollar they make, right? So you could go and sell 1 million records, and still end up with 100,000, in some cases $10,000 that year. But the same person who don't take the record deal and do the same thing for themselves on a lower scale, they'll gain 100% of what they created, 100% of what they produce, 100% of what they sell. And then they own all the contracts they may get. If a company want to use them, we like your song, we want to use this in a commercial, or we like your image, we want to use you as a promotion person for whatever. And you make 100% of that. And that's what this brings to us. So that's the thing I wanted to talk about tonight, because it's just an extension of what I've been talking about for the last year and a half. And as we get closer, I'm watching more and more people lose their job by the hundreds. You have whole chains shutting their doors. And I come in here, nobody's talking about it. Business chains. So if you have a business chain close its door, imagine how many people just lost their job. And then if you have a certain amount of people that lose their job, here's a great example. Gary, Indiana, was Ford and shut down their automotive manufacturers there. Same thing they did in Detroit. What happened? A strong base of income coming in. Neither was there a strong base of taxes coming in for them to continue to reinvest in the city, for people to continue to grow and then reinvest in themselves. And all it did was it turned those places to what they are today. And then later on, people from all over the world started going into Detroit, just like they went into Manhattan. And you got a lot of foreigners owning almost everything, but people just don't know this. And when those foreigners get ready to come over here and take advantage of everything that only we as citizens, as residents, have the advantage to do, they'll be able to come over here, do it, and have double citizenship because they own property here. And then once they come over here, they will also be eligible for the same benefit. So if they was to lose their business, okay, it's gonna be covered by the government up to 80%, and the taxes, because the government is taking care of its citizens. So I just want to share that and make sure you understand that, and make sure that you try to have some of these conversations, not into detail like I'm doing it, but to just get people to know that we really need to be networking and networking amongst each other and continue to build our networks in here, because we will be our greatest assets in here, because we will have the know-how, we will know the changes, we will know how this platform, we will know how this platform is moving as opposed to the other ones that we deal with, and we will be successful. So I say, like I've been saying forever, 2025 is going to shock a lot of people. I would say by June 2025, it's going to get scary for those who are not prepared to see what's going to roll out, and what that rolling out is going to mean to them as individuals who been dependent on their jobs, or depending on government support, been dependent on people around them that they depend on for help. So when the person next to you can't help you anymore, and the person next door can't help them anymore, that's when you're going to start seeing that, wow, we should have been on top of it. So once again, this is Creators One News. I am El Blanco. This is the business segment of Creators One News. You can always go to our website and see the other stations, the other shows that we have at Creators1news.com. And you can also book us. So if you want to book me, book Dragon, book Miss Rocks, book anybody that's that's involved in our shows. If you're trying to network, if you're trying to do something, get on the show, or whatever idea you have that's going to be conducive to promoting both our channels and your channels, then make sure you go to our website and put it in, and then you will get a response from Miss Rocks. And as well as you can always look to Instagram to see any other promotions that we may be talking about going on here in Horizon World. So thank you for tuning in, and good night.